All right, welcome back everyone to Outstanding User Interfaces for the Shiny Book Club. Today we are going to start discussing defining dependencies. This is chapter 16, and this is part of the practice for a Bootstrap 4 dashboard template. So this first chapter in this series of chapters is going to show us how to create, how to actually take an existing template, an HTML template, and then adapt it for using in Shiny. So there are many different templates available. Not all templates, Bootstrap templates that we see could be used for Shiny, but there are some prerequisites. So here are some examples from the Creative Tim link here, where we have many Bootstrap 5, 4, and 3 templates. This is the page for the free Bootstrap templates. And there is one called as Tabler, which is shown in this chapter. But we can try changing any of these uh, for our use with Shiny. So there are two main prerequisites for Shiny. We know that Shiny has a Bootstrap dependency, and it particularly uses Bootstrap 3. And there are some examples like Shiny Material and Shiny Semantic that have used and use different templates. Um, we also know that Shiny depends on jQuery and any templates that use that are mainly for React and Vue and Angular frameworks in JavaScript. They are not natively supported. If we want to use them, we need to make significant changes and also use packages like React R for making use of those templates in Shiny. So today what we are going to use is Tabler, and Tabler has this template which we are going to start with. So here is the GitHub for, this is GitHub for a different one. Let me check where I put that. Oh, it's here. So before looking at the GitHub page, here is the main tabler.io website. On here, if we go to this link, this is no longer available. So here, this is the main link, tabler.io slash admin dash template. And we can download the template using this button. And this is what it looks like in the light mode. In the dark mode, this is what it looks like. This is the layout dark HTML page. So for using this template, we need to look at what are the dependencies of this template and which of these are already used by Shiny and which of these we need to add using the HTML dependency function from HTML tools. One note in this chapter tells us that for the Tabler template, this is the version uh, which it was built on in this example in the chapter. But even if this is a different version, uh, since then, we the main principles for using the template remain unchanged. So the discussion here is now out of date. And I checked on the Tabler page, there are now, the latest one is version 12 instead of version 7. But we are going to use version 6 because that is what is available on that link that we just saw. So if I go to the GitHub page here on GitHub, we have several folders here. And referring back to the chapter, the first section here says discover the project. So whenever we have any template, the first thing we need to look at are the dependencies, which include the CSS, JS dependencies. And in this GitHub page for tabler.io, we have a dist folder which contains the CSS and JS files, as well as Bootstrap and jQuery. So let's explore that. Here we are on the Tabler GitHub page. And if we go to the dist folder, you also notice here it says release version 1 alpha 6. So here, if we go to the CSS, there are multiple CSS files. Some of them are for the demo. Uh, for example, this demo. And then there is tabler.min.css. Similarly, the dist also contains other files. So if we go back to the dist folder, go to the JS, here we have tabler.min.js as well. And the demo folder contains the demo dashboards. So we saw one example here, and another example is right here. This is a working example, by the way. So it also says here that there are SCSS and build folders, which we can see going back to the Tabler page. So here we have SCSS and build, and we know that this contains the SAS code, and the build has more instructions for using different components of this template. But these are out of the scope of the discussion in the chapter. So we are not going to use these. We are only going to look at the CSS and JS dependencies. So we first need to see, okay, out of all of those files that we saw in the dist folder, uh, which ones are really needed for Shiny, for this template to work in Shiny. So we find that Bootstrap 4 is needed. Let's see how we know that Bootstrap 4 is needed. Going back to GitHub and then going to the dist folder and then the libs folder. Here we see Bootstrap dist.js. And here we have Bootstrap bundle min.js. If I open this, this tells us that we require Bootstrap 4. Then jQuery is needed. Similarly, tabler.min.css and min.js we have already seen. These are the key elements that we need. Another important point here is that since whenever we create a template and we want to make it available to any other user, we generally package it. And our packages have a limit of 5 MB if we want to provide the package on CRAN. So we need to be really careful to use these files. If they exceed that size, then there's no easy solution to provide this on CRAN. In this example, we actually do not directly use the local files. We use CDNs, but the recommendation in the chapter is to use local files if we want to provide them through the CRAN package. So to look at the dependencies, we need to download the repository and then go to the demo folder, and in that folder, open the layout-dark.html and then open the HTML inspector to see what dependencies are needed. So I already have downloaded it, and I have opened the layout-dark.html file. And now if I right click and click on inspect, here we are within the body tag. Let's go to the head tag. And within the head tag, scrolling down, here we have the libs CSS. The first one we see here is JQV map. And here in the discussion, it says JQV map is actually related to an external visualization plugin used in the demo. And that actually is referring to this map. If we go to the JQV map uh, website, this is what it shows. So it's the same thing that is used in this demo right here. So that's one dependency that we see. We don't necessarily need this if we don't want to use this in Shiny. We have select.css, then there are some other CSS files. And then scrolling down further, within this common tabular core, we see that tabler.min.css is needed. And then within tabular plugins, we see the demo.min.css as well, but this is only needed for the demo purposes. We don't really need this for Shiny. Now, within the head tag, there's no more dependency. So the JavaScript dependency are not in the head tag. They're actually in the body tag. So opening the body tag and scrolling down, here we have the libs.js. And if I scroll down further, within the tabular core comment, now we see again tabular.min.js. So we now know that uh, we need the bootstrap dependency. So that's also right here, bootstrap.bundle.min.js within the JS dependencies, and it comes first. Then comes the tabular JS dependency. So this is the order that we need in while specifying the dependencies in Shiny as well.
I really like the part because he asked us here in this part that we try to delete the
Right,
tablet.
right.
Yes, I did and was really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
Let me.
try it?
Yeah, I did try it. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. So let me go back. Let me first change the size
And
here.
later after making that, oh, it works. Oh, let me see if I delete all the other ones.
Yeah,
The app remains.
yeah, I did
So
try that.
that's a really good way to for the CSS because the JavaScript only runs once, so unless of but the CSS the change is instantly.
Right.
Yeah,
So
you
if I
just
delete this,
delete the element.
then yeah,
Yeah,
all of the
you
CSS is gone.
so when you have that scene and okay, this is needed. But
Yeah.
I did the other way around. So I refresh the page. You just need to refresh it, and you will get back your dependency. And I started deleting the JavaScript, sorry, the Boost style sheet dependencies. If you
Hmm.
delete other ones, you will see that the UI remains. So that's a really simple way to understand without looking at the code what is really needed to keep the UI.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did try removing the demo one, but nothing changes. So that's a really good point that they make in the chapter, and thanks for reminding.
Yes, that was a great strategy. Like, how do you know that's really needed? Oh, I deleted and it's still working. Yeah, I know it's needed.
Right. Um, right. So now we are moving on to bundling the dependencies within for Shiny. And here is that comment that says that it's better to bundle the dependencies using local files rather than CDN, but in the example, they use CDN. So I'm going to switch my screen uh, to our studio. And the first step here is to load HTML tools. And then we first provide the CDN for Tabler here. And then within the HTML dependency function, we provide the name Tabler, the version 1.0.7, because this is the CDN relevant version. And then within the source, we provide the Tabler CDN. Then for the script, we specify that this is where the JS file is. And then for style sheet, we specify the CSS file. Running this and then looking at it, we see it's a list of 10, including all the relevant attributes with the script and a style sheet that we want. For Bootstrap, we saw on GitHub that the required version is 4.3.1. So that also has a CDN. So we first specify that, and then using HTML dependency, we provide this is the reference for the JS file that
I was thinking that Bootstrap was a CSS dependency, not a JavaScript dependency. Or they have both because I don't know.
for Shiny, there's also a Bootstrap JavaScript dependency. or it automatically has a CSS dependency. So
Okay,
it's
so I have both.
yeah, um, right. And in the next step, we are going to create a function which basically takes in a tag, and then this is the sequence of the dependencies. We saw that Bootstrap appears first and then does the tabular JS. So that's why we provide it in the same sequence within this list. And then using the attach dependencies function, we attach the dependencies to whatever tag is provided and specify that append equals to true so that it is the dependencies are added to the existing dependencies rather than overriding them. And
I was
then,
thinking Appen was for making but placing at the end, or was for not removing it.
sorry,
I was thinking that Appen was for making sure that the dependency goes to the last line, or you
yeah,
think that is for also is not removing because in my mind, like, okay, I have my own dependency and below I place the new one.
right.
I think for the link you need to manually delete the dependency.
Yeah, yeah,
It has a function for that.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking maybe this overrides it if we don't say append equals to true, but what you're saying is correct. We are basically adding it at the end,
Hmm.
right? So here's an example that shows that if our tag is div and we find the dependencies, currently this is an empty div with no dependencies attached, so we see that it's null. Now we use the add tabular dependencies function on this div, and now if we find the dependencies, we see that those dependencies are added. The first one is Bootstrap, and the second one being tabular. And there was one more important thing here that I wanted to mention. Let me check. What did I miss here? Yeah. So it is important that as we saw in the layout dark HTML file, that we have both the Bootstrap, not only the Bootstrap, both the CSS and the JavaScript dependencies. And the CSS one was in the head tag, and the JavaScript was in the body tag. But HTML tools currently does not allow us to specify dependencies in two different locations. So everything will go on the head section. So at the end, we have this very small example Shiny app where we have uh, the tag, which we created here, and we're putting that in the Fluid page. This is the only thing in the user interface and nothing in the server. And we are going to run this app. So if I run the app here, and then I'm going to launch this, and let me reshare my screen. And grab the URL, Chrome. So here we are within the app. There's nothing here because we did not put any component. And let's inspect it. And let's go to the head tag. So we do see the existing dependencies that Shiny gets here in the page. So we have jQuery, we have shiny.min.css, busy indicators is a new one in the version 1.10 of Shiny, shiny.min.js, then Bootstrap bundle. This is now coming from the dependency we specified, I think, and then the tabular.min.css and tabular.min.jss. So this way we have successfully added these dependencies. Now, if we add
But
any component,
you have 3.4 Bootstrap,
let's
CSS,
see,
um, and you have it below, and you have, but you don't have, okay, you don't have a JavaScript Bootstrap. You have the style sheets. No, yeah, you have JavaScript at the end. 3.4 Bootstrap. So you might need to remove it manually
yeah, maybe,
because you have two bootstraps running at the same time. And I think that the last one is more important. But at least it's that for the style sheets. I'm not sure about if that's the same case for the JavaScript code.
maybe, yeah. I haven't really looked into it. I think the next chapter will guide us to do something with this. But it's a really
Yeah,
good
we
point.
already saw something in prior chapters about removing dependencies.
Hmm.
It's the same logic for HTML2. So we need to manually, remove it. We need to
Yeah.
create another functions to remove Bootstrap 3.4.
Hmm.
Uh,
If we try to add an element to this, let me try just an h2. Um, so if instead of this tag, if I just say uh, add dependencies and I add an h1 and here I say hello, let's see how that works.
yeah. Another alternative could be to no, because you have them many codes there. Copy just the tableau template of the one. Yeah, you have
So
hello there.
So in the actual example here, if
Mhm.
I look at the font here, it says it's Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is the font. And the second one is System UI, and then Apple System.
Well, it have a tag, I think.
Uh,
The hello have some class. So it's no, you need to replicate, try to copy that element only.
this one,
Yeah, like yeah,
this is H2.
the is too because it have
Yeah,
also a point title, so you have a class to have the same. You need to
yeah, H2 page dash title.
exactly. You can copy that line, and you should get the same result because that's you have the content sometimes matter. Like okay, I have page two on the this tag on the this tag. uh,
Yeah,
like sometimes you say page title under. It was an ID.
I just want to see if because we are using the same CSS, if
Copy
I
the page header completely, like that div.
mhm, this
Copy
one,
the complete div, like yeah. Copy the complete element. So you have the page header, row header, and all those classes together. Maybe it should work in that way. You copy
let's
the.
try just H2 first, and let's see what happens
Mhm.
if it really is dependent on the class. Okay, yeah, currently the font doesn't change, but if I specify that class, which is using uh,
Yeah, I see the
so
fluid.
it's page dash title. So
Hmm.
if I try that, page dash title, and then reload the app, go back. Okay.
Okay, it's smarter.
So it is really using that, but yes, as you said, because it is part of another div and part of another div. So if we do really create the same thing, then it will
But you
work.
can go remove the dependency manually there. You go to the head and remove the bootstrap. Does it change? Because you have bootstrap 3 at the end. Try to just remove those style sheets.
Delete this. Yeah, you are right. It is making a change.
Yeah, because
So,
I remember that the last element is the most important one.
okay, yep, it is working. It's showing the same font
Mm-hmm.
now.
The same font.
Yeah.
The problem is that yeah, we need manually to remove Bootstrap 3 in
Hmm.
order to use Bootstrap 4.
Very interesting. Okay. All right. So I think we are done. Yeah. So for this chapter, we are done. We now know how to add dependencies from an existing template. I was actually experimenting with another one. The it's this one, and I tried finding the CDN for this. I've got two different uh, CDNs, one for CSS, one for JS, and but the result is the same as this one. I also asked Shiny Assistant uh, to use this tabular dependency and then create an app. It did
Mm-hmm.
create an app. I did not look at the code yet, but I looked at the result. The result was very similar to
Oh.
the light mode. So this one has other modes as well. So if we go to condensed dark, this is what is on the in the next chapter. This is actually the one that they try to use for Shiny. So we'll see that after reading that chapter. All right. So if there are no questions, I can stop.
Yeah, we can stop.